Hello, beautiful. Welcome back to Couch to Grace. If you're new here, I'm your host, Mariam. And if you're returning, thank you so much for all your love and your support. So, your girl has been MIA for a while, and I just wanted to apologize that I missed, I think it's 2 episodes that I did not record. It was not intentional, and I just wanted to apologize to you guys and to tell you why. It's not because I got tired, it's just that we're transitioning. So we moved out of our city, we moved to a different city, and yeah, moving is a lot. I underestimated the move and what it took. The kids were still in school, and we had to wait for the half term to finish and then start the new school. So it was just a lot. We're living in boxes. We're still not done unpacking, but yeah, I had nowhere to record, and I'd packed all my stuff away, and yeah, so I'm sorry. I thought I would have managed to record in advance, but it was just a lot, guys. And I wanted to be kind to myself and not try and just record for the sake of it, because I didn't really have time to even think or pray or sit in God's presence to just understand what He wanted me to speak on. And I always keep saying this in my episodes on this channel, to say I don't want to just go on the camera and just record for the sake of recording. I pray, I ask God, what do you want me to speak on, and what message do you have in this season, or what encouragement would you have me say, or whatever. So I don't want to just turn on the camera and just, yeah. So yeah, no, that's not what this channel is about. So it was either I just jumped on waffling and gave you something just to tick the box that I've recorded, or just took my time and understood that I was in a transitioning space and it was okay. So yeah, in a long story short, that's why I didn't release any the last 2 episodes. So sorry, guys. But yeah, I'm back. Your girl's back. I'm back. I'm back. This is not the original setup I'm gonna go for, because again, we're still unpacking. I have a vision of what I'm gonna do to the podcast room. So I have an actual podcast room. God is good. God has been so amazing. And yeah, like, this whole move has been a testimony, and in itself it's just been, yeah, like, God has been so amazing. Like, it's honestly, I have no words. So I'll dive into that. I was gonna share my move and everything, but then I thought, I'm not ready to share it. But I think I'm ready. I'm not, yeah, I think I'm ready. So yeah, sit back, get a cup of tea or a drink, like a cold drink, because it's hot out there, and sit back and, yeah, go on this journey with me. I'll see you in a minute. So yeah, we're back. Oh Lord, I missed you guys so much. And yeah, again, if you miss me, sorry, I'm here. So the move, we have been trying to move to Northampton. So we're in Northampton now. So if you're in Northampton and you want to connect, hit me up and I'll be more than happy to try and connect and, grow my family. And yeah, so sorry, I got sidetracked. So yeah, if you want to connect and you're in Northampton, holler at me, and we can link up and just meet up and just connect. So yeah, we have been planning to move to Northampton for the longest, and it's been years. To be fair, we have been trying to move out of Derby. So I lived in Derby. We have been trying to move out of Derby for the longest. And again, just like the couch I keep talking about, like, being stuck in your comfort zone. We were just stuck in our comfort zone, and it was just like, okay, why would we leave the life that we've built here? I'm originally from Derby, and my husband, he's originally from Northampton. He has family in Northampton still, but he came to Derby Uni. That's where we met, and he stayed. And obviously, we built a life in Derby. All our children were born in Derby, so it was just like, why would we just all of a sudden up and leave? But my parents relocated back to Africa, and I think that was the first wake up call for me to say, I don't have my mommy. Like, I'm such a mommy's girl, and I was so used to having my mom around. Like, literally, she was very active. She still is, even though she's not in the country. But she was like very active in terms of childcare and just everything. If the kids are like stressing me, I'll be like, Mom, I'm dropping them off. I didn't even have to ask. I'll just literally take them and be like, I'm coming back to get them. Like, obviously, she'll have them for the whole weekend. Some days she would even like take them to school and stuff like that, because she was that involved. And my siblings as well were very much hands on, and they were very much involved with like our kids and stuff. And everyone was basically just hands on. So I had that community and that family support network. So when they all relocated and everyone just sort of like moved away, I was like, okay, what am I doing here? Because one thing, my husband used to ask me, like, would you ever move out of Derby? And I was like, no. Why would I leave my mom? And genuinely, that was the only reason why I didn't want to move out of Derby. I was like, I'm not moving anywhere away from my mom. Even when I went to uni, I was like, I don't want to be in my parents' house, so I'll have my own house, but I'll still stay in Derby. It's that bad. It was that bad. Like, I stayed in Derby because I wanted to be close to my mom, because I was used to that, and she was like my safety net. So when she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna retire and I'm gonna move back," I was like, "I'm happy for you, but why? Why are you leaving me?" But yeah, I got over that. I didn't, but yeah. So the time came. She moved, and my dad moved as well, and yeah, my siblings just decided to just do whatever they were doing. I think they moved for a bit, and then they've just been in and out of the country doing their own thing. So it was just like, okay, I felt it, guys. I felt it for the first time. I was like, I'm in the ghetto. I was just like, I'm in the ghetto. I understand when people that don't have their parents or like their family around, how they feel. And I was just like, I can't even go on a date. Like, we can't even do any little thing, because you're thinking, okay, one child is okay, but three, who's gonna have three kids for like longer than an hour? And it was, guys, it was the ghetto. But anyway, I waffle. So that transition was a lot, and I think that was the beginning of my mental health. Just anxiety was just because I wasn't used to it. And growing up in Africa, obviously, we were raised with nannies. Like, we all had nannies each, and it was just, yeah. So I wasn't in that. I wasn't. I wasn't exposed to like a mother just looking after a child and putting her life on pause to just, you know, care for a child. I was obviously exposed to the mom can still do what she wants to do. The dad can still do what they want to do. They're doing whatever. They're making money. They're doing business. They're working, and the kids are looked after. Not that they didn't love us and stuff. Yeah, obviously, I'm not saying they were not present. They were present, but we just had nannies. So we had like a maid, and like the maid would cook and do whatever, and then we had nannies that were just mainly looking after us. Like, mom was working, dad was working, so they were still coming home, if that makes sense. I'm not trying to say like we never saw our parents and stuff like that, but that's what I was exposed to. There were a lot of hands-on people there, and it didn't depend just on the mom and dad, if that makes sense. There was like, my aunties were close, my uncle lived opposite us, and there was a lot of community that were just very involved in our upbringing. And when we came to the UK, we were obviously old enough to be looked after and whatever. And then my mom she was a nurse, she would work, and we'll still have that community. So we got into this like Zambian community where we used to meet up every month. So long story short, we had that community, and I've never been away from my mom. And when I had Malachi, like my first, we were just, yeah, she was very involved. And yeah, so one child after the other, that involvement never stopped, if that makes sense. The same with my siblings, they were very much involved, so that involvement never stopped. So going from that to they're not even in the country anymore, I was just like, oh my gosh, if I need a minute, if I need a break, what do I do? I'm gonna have to start looking for childcare. Like, what do people do? How do people survive? And it was such a like shock to my system, because one, hubby's family's all the way in Northampton, and we were like, yes, they were very willing, like would have to like arrange and take the kids to Northampton if we really needed like childcare. And let's say, for example, anytime hubby had catering, or had I had like a wedding booking or something, and we both had to be away, we had to take them to Northampton, and just for childcare and stuff like that. And then I found like a family friend who was helping out with looking after them. So yeah, so she was like our main go-to person, that like anytime we needed kind of a break, she would look after them. But again, it's three kids. Who's gonna look after three kids like for a night or for a long time? So it was very short limited, and it was just like life became real, and we're like, okay, this is so anyway. So at that point we started revisiting, shall we move out of Derby or what? But then we were stuck in between Birmingham and Northampton, because Birmingham, hubby was doing a lot of catering in Birmingham every week. So we thought maybe it would be easier for work, and it's a bigger city, it would be better for me with the hair business. But I just didn't like Birmingham, guys. Like, Birmingham for me was like Sodom and Gomorrah. So I was just like, oh, we'll keep praying on it, we'll keep praying on it. So the move has literally been a topic, but we just didn't have the courage to actually move. And then, so yeah, we just continued life and just carried on life, and we just accepted that this is our new life, and we're just gonna have to adjust and adapt. And that's exactly what we did. Then, a few months later, things just started falling apart. Like, obviously, I've said it in one of my testimonies, but a lot just started falling apart. Well, things were going up and down. It's so funny even thinking about it now, how God works. So when I say things started changing, I remember I got to a point where I said, okay, I'm done having kids, and I want to go back to doing hair full time, because I started my hair business, then I would stop because of like pregnancy and childcare and stuff like that. It wasn't just sustainable, and I was like, okay, I can't do this full time. So I was on and off with my hair business. But then after my last born, and once she became the age where she went into preschool, and it was sort of like 9 to 3, I was like, I can do hair now. Like, I can go back to my first love. I can go back to my first love. So yeah, I started working on a space. So I opened my salon studio, and guys, I worked hard. I did everything from scratch, and at this point, you can imagine, I'm like, there's nothing that's gonna stop me, because obviously all the other excuses, well, I won't call them excuses, they were legit. Like, all the other reasons why I couldn't do hair full time was because of the kids, and taking time off to be with family and stuff like that. But this time I was like, there's a routine in place, I've sorted everything out, and there's no issue. So yeah, we it was like, okay, I don't have to struggle with childcare, because she's going to be in preschool, and the other two are in school. So it worked perfectly, and I was like, I can time myself. And then hubby as well was available, so we had time, we had a plan that, okay, it will work. And I obviously was so excited. I launched and said, I'm going to do this properly, because I'm back, and a lot of my loyal customers were like on standby waiting for me to get back in full time, because especially a few of them, I'll do hair at my house because I was used to them, and the kids were sort of like used to them. So I'd also do appointments at the house. So when they knew that I had a space and I was literally full time, I was fully booked. And I'm grateful that I was fully booked, because it could have gone the other side. It could have gone like, you've been so quiet for so long, and then I don't have the clients anymore. But I was so booked, and I was so grateful. Like, I was back to back. I was starting at 8 a.m. and finishing at 8 p.m. And then I have to clean the salon, and then I have to get back home. And at the same time, I was already in the system of doing wig revamps. So I had a lot. So I was doing braids, I was doing like the full hair services, and I had a sink there as well. So I was doing treatments, I was washing hair. So I was doing all the services by myself, and at the same time I was still running the wig business. So I was doing wigs as well at the same time. So I got burnt out so much, and on top of that, my mental health just went. And yeah, so I got burnt out so much, and I was just like, okay, I'm back to back. I don't have time for the kids. By the time I get home, the kids are in bed. By the time I'm leaving, I don't see them because I get up early to start. And if I was doing braids, I would get out of the house maybe 6:30 a.m. and stuff like that. So it was a lot, and I didn't realize that it would have taken that much of time. Well, I knew I was going to be booked, like, but yeah. So anyway, long story short, that same season, my hands just started numbing so much. I was having migraines. My neck was so like stiff, and I was just like, "What is going on?" Like my body was just telling me that something's not okay. And yeah, I do massages like every month, and I look after myself. So it's not even like I wasn't looking after myself. So it was just the case that I don't know what was going on. So I started seeing a chiropractor, and they were like, yeah, you need to stop. And before I saw the chiropractor, by the way, what made me even go seek for professional help was I was driving I was driving, so I can't remember what I was driving with the kids in the car, and my hand numbed, and I could not move my hand. Thank God there was no cars on the road. Like it was so scary. Like my hand couldn't move, and it just froze, and I couldn't move the steering when I was trying to do this. And I was just like, and then I started having a panic attack, and I was just like, what's going on? Like my kids were in the car, and I was just like, what is going on? And I started panicking, like, am I having a stroke? What's happening? So it was scary, and I had to do like an emergency brake, and I just put the hazard lights on, and I just froze for like 10 minutes. I was just like still in the middle of the road, guys. And I was like, what was that? And thank God it came back. So I kept doing this. And then, so I went to see the chiropractor, and they did this whole assessment, and they did everything. And they're like, yeah, if you've got carpal tunnel, like really bad carpal tunnel, and it was just a lot. And yeah, so they were like, no, you need to think about what you're doing, this and that. And they just gave me this whole history, like a lot of hairdressers have it and stuff like that. And then I was just like, okay, I just started. Like, this is 7 months in. I've just started and launched. I even did like a launch because in my head I was like, oh, allow me to reintroduce myself. I'm back and this and that. Nothing's gonna stop me. Then that happened, and then it just kept getting worse. And I could not do hair, and it was just like, God, what is going on? I was like, is this an attack from the enemy? What's happening? Then yeah, so my hand was just numbing randomly. My head, I was having migraines like constantly. I started taking medication for migraines. That meant that I couldn't drive as much at certain times and certain days. It was hell, guys, and it was just a lot. And I was like, I don't want to be on medication because da, 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 da. So I went back and forth with myself, and I was like, okay, this is a lot. Then yeah, I was like, you know what? I just need to take some time off. Maybe that would do me better. So my friend was like, "Oh, let's go to Dubai." So we booked a trip. Was it Dubai or Malta? I can't remember, but I think it was Dubai. But yeah, my friend was like, let's go on holiday." We went on holiday, and so I took like was it a week? I took a week and a half off, and I just blocked my calendar. I was like, I'm gonna go and just enjoy enjoy myself, and just not think about this. Maybe I need time to rest. Maybe so my mind was just like, oh, it's because I've been booked, fully booked, and I've been back to back since I opened, and it's just been, I just need to rest. So that's what I put it as, I need to rest. So I was like, I'm good on holiday. So I went on holiday, and yeah, I did not have a migraine. I don't know what the sun in this country does, but I was fine. I had no single headache. I was fine. So obviously, I concluded, I was like, yeah, I just needed rest. So I'll go back. So I went back, same thing. I was just like, ha. So then when I went back, my mom came to visit. So remember, she had relocated. So she came to visit the kids, and so yeah, she came to visit, and during the period where she was traveling, she had a stroke on the plane. Hey, she had a stroke on the plane, guys, and she didn't even realize it. And I think she knew, but because she's a nurse, she didn't want to accept it. So bear in mind, I landed a day before she landed, so I was already tired and just like jet lagged. I was just like, yeah, I'm ready. You're in that holiday feel, like you're ready to go back to work. I was ready to go back to my clients, and boom, 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 boom. So yeah, so she came back. So the next day she was like, "Oh, don't worry, I'll get a train. I don't want to, stress you guys. It's fine. I don't have a lot of luggage on me. I'll get a train and then you meet me." So I'm very like, so I was tracking her train. I was just making sure like when she landed, I spoke to her, and she did so well to hide what was going on. So yeah, so but anyway, long story short, she had a stroke and she fell in like at the train station. She missed her train, this and that. It was just a whole lot, which made sense when she arrived. So when she got home, I picked her up from the train station, and I picked her up from the train station, and straight away she was just obviously, because from Zambia to England, it's like a lot of hours. It's probably like 16 hours, especially if you're connecting. So we just thought she was tired. So I said, okay, let me go warm some food up for you, have a shower, and rest, and then I'll be making food. So then I'm making food for her, and my sister goes, my sister rings me and she's like, "Why is mom crying?" And I was like, "What do you mean, why is she crying? I just left her. She's having a shower. I'm making food for her. What do you mean she's crying?" She's like, "Oh, she's crying, saying she thinks she had a stroke." And I said, "Huh?" So I went to her room and I said, "What's going on?" Then when I saw her properly, like her face was lopsided, like her mouth was. I was like, and I think in that moment I just went into like autopilot, and I was just like, "Okay, what do you need?" So I called my brother, my older brother, and I said, "You need to come here." She's refusing to go to the hospital, because I was like, "We need to call. Like, I don't know what to do. What do you do? We need to call. Like, what's happening?" She's like, "Oh no, I'm just tired. I just need to rest." But she's crying and she's this and that. So long story short, we called the ambulance. The ambulance came and they admitted her and said she had a stroke, and like her whole left side would just numb, and yeah, she couldn't move anything, and yeah, so they said she had a bleed in her brain or something. That Yeah, so it was just like everything just went. I was like, yo, okay. So in that moment, I just went into autopilot. What does she need? I spoke to the nurses and they're like, okay, when we discharge her, she's gonna need A, B, C, D. And thankfully, the spare bedroom was downstairs and it was en suite, so it had a shower and everything. So we're like, okay, we need to now readjust the room to make it livable for somebody that's just had a stroke and is recovering from a stroke. So we had to start doing all that, like literally while she's in hospital. And my other two siblings were not in the country. They were obviously in Zambia, and it was just me and my older brother. And he was working, and obviously there's kids, there's childcare, there's this. So it was just crazy trying to go back and forth. And at that point, previous to that, a lot happened, guys. Before that, a lot happened. I forgot. So before all of that, we had no car. Like our cars just hey. When I tell you, I'm laughing now because it makes sense, but back then it was like, what is going on? Our cars just broke down, and yeah, so we didn't have a car. So you can imagine now, fast forward the hospital. So we had to like be doing a lot of taxis back and forth, and ah, it wasn't easy. It was a lot. Then she was now obviously assessed and discharged, and she had to be discharged, and then obviously I became her carer to look after her and stuff. I had to learn how to do observations, like blood pressure, and take her thing and write everything down, give her medication and do this. And she had a lot of people like therapists and nurses coming to help her, because she had to relearn how to use her hand, relearn how to talk, learn how to do all of this. And imagine the kids are in that moment. So it was just, and I'd not processed that she had a stroke, by the way. So I was just like, okay, what do you need? What needs to happen? I was literally like autopilot. I cancelled my appointments again, and I was like, a month on, I'm like, I'm not in the space and I'm paying rent, and it was just a lot. But anyway, so that happened, and then I still went back a little bit, because obviously it was between me and my brother helping, and my husband and stuff. and the nurses were active. When she started getting better, I started getting more appointments in and stuff. And yeah, my hand was still numbing. Things were not great. And my chiropractor was like, you need to stop because you're young. You need to think about yourself, especially now you have history with somebody that's got a stroke in the family. You don't want to end up having a stroke and you don't know the effect it would have. So, guys, I had to give up my salon. I was like, yo. And in the midst of that, we were like trying to move. So just before my mom, were like, okay, we're gonna move to Birmingham, and we started looking for houses, and we were set. That had to be scrapped because I was like, I don't even think I need to be in Birmingham right now. It's not making sense. Then the place where hubby was cooking, I think they got shut down and whatever they were happening. So that flopped. So it was just like, what is going on? Everything was just flopping and falling. And what did your girl do? I went into autopilot again. Didn't process the fact that I just had to give up my salon and, I thought that this is it. I didn't process that. I just went, oh, cool. What's next? So I said, what do I do? Like, do I get back into work? Like, what do I do? And yeah, I did not process the fact that I had just returned to full time hair and nothing was gonna stop me this time, and I had to give that up. So I was like, okay, Mariam, what do you like doing? I'm very organized. I'm like an organized freak, and I like planning. I like order. I like things in specific way and stuff. And yeah, I said, okay, what can I get into? So I started reading about project management and I got into project management. I said, okay, I'm gonna do a few courses and see how I can pivot from, my experience and transfer my skills and try and get into project management. So I started on that journey. I did not grieve losing the salon. I didn't even know that it was something I needed to grieve. It was just life goes on, like move on next. So that's what happened. I went into project management and I was like, okay, cool, this is what I'm doing now. So I prayed, and at that point God was knocking on the door at the same time. And I think looking back now, I know that he was trying to get my attention, but I was just like, not now, Lord. I've got things to do. I've got a career to build. I've got a business to build, stuff like that. So yeah, he was knocking and I wasn't listening. I just kept going. I was just on autopilot. So when I then said, okay, I'm going to do project management, as we all do, when you want something, you then go to God and say, God, please bless me. If this is my job, give it to me. Da, 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 da. So I did the whole thing. Like I transitioned my CV, wrote CV, and I started applying for jobs and I got interviews. So the first job I actually interviewed for was in Birmingham, funny enough. And the interview was great. I went through all the stages of the interview. Then they came back and said they picked someone else who was familiar with the industry. So it was like metal, like dealing with metal, and I didn't know anything to do with metal. So yeah, so they picked somebody that was from a background this in the same industry. So I was like, yeah, that's fine. And they gave me feedback, which was great. So they were like, oh, you were very strong and this and that. And so obviously for me, that was my first interview as a project manager. So I didn't even know. I was panicking. I was like, did I do well? Did I do it like so them giving me feedback was so nice because it gave me confidence to say that okay, it's not me, it's not my application, it's not my CV, it's not my skills. It's just that there was someone else that was obviously better suited for that specific role. So it's not the end of the world. I continued applying and I then found another one which was in Derby and it was hybrid. And I was like, okay, perfect, we'll try. So I tried that one and I even forgot about it, guys. Like I applied and I forgot about it. And then they randomly called me and said, oh, we're interviewing, when are you free? Da, 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 da. Long story short, I got the job and I was like, yay. And yeah, so I was so happy. I was like, oh, I'm starting this whole corporate life and stuff. So I literally changed my whole wardrobe. I was like, yes, I'm a corporate girly now. And I obviously started the job, and I was great like at that job. And the company was small, and they lacked a lot of structure, and I like structure. Like I said, I everything has to be in order. So I was like, I need to fix this. And I went above and beyond and did a lot. And for me, I think it's because I run a business and I've got that experience. So I was just very like, there's nothing that I can put my hands on and it fails. It has to be excellent and it has to excel. And that's the character I have. Like, if I'm doing something, it has to be perfect. It has to be exceptional. I can't just be like, okay, there's something wrong with that and I don't fix it. So I label myself as a fixer. So I literally broke down the whole system and rebuilt the system. And I was like, okay, this is the structure. This is how we're going to do this. I had meetings with every department and did it. Long story short, I was doing the most. Yeah. And yeah, so the time came and I was like, I passed my probation, and then I was doing the most again. Like, clients were loving me, they were requesting me. So I was like, okay, I'm going to put out a business case here. So I said, yo, I need a promotion because the money that you're paying me, I need a promotion because I'm. So yeah, I was like, you need to promote me. So anyway, I spoke to my manager and she was like, yeah, it's obviously not my choice. It's not my position to do whatever, but I see it and I understand and I agree with you. Da, 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 da. So I said, cool. And I was very much like, no one was beneath me, no one was above me, if that makes sense. I was like, I can talk to anybody. And I think maybe it's because it was like my first ever corporate role, in that mind that I didn't really understand this corporate hierarchy of, or you don't talk to bosses unless you're someone to, that kind of thing. I didn't have that mentality. I was like, okay, I'll speak to the owner, I'll speak to the CEO, then I'll speak to him. And he used to come to he was in the office a lot and he was very like available to us, to the colleagues. So I emailed him and I said, I'm gonna put up a meeting. I have this to discuss. I did a whole business case, guys, and I presented it to him. And yeah, my manager was on annual leave at that time, and then I had annual leave coming up for the summer holidays. So we were overlapping with that annual leave. So when she was coming back, I would have left like a day before, if that makes sense. And because of that, I was like, oh, let's employ someone else to do my role so that I can start doing the role that I wanted. So I was a project coordinator, but I was acting project manager. And because obviously it was my first role, I was like, that's fine. I'll learn on the job and, get myself up there. And so yeah, I was like, let's employ another project coordinator. I'll train them, I'll teach them what they need to do, and then I can then get the project manager role, because we needed a project manager. There was no project manager, there was like a program manager, and then it was the project coordinator. So I was then doing the job of a project manager and a project coordinator at the same time, and touching on to program manager roles and stuff like that, duties and stuff. So it was like, okay, you gotta promote me because, yeah, I've done a lot. And yeah, they were like, okay, we'll employ somebody, train them, and see how that goes. So we employed someone, and the CEO was like, yeah, you guys deal with the employment side of things, and we'll leave it to you. And then they're like, okay, Mariam, you pick the person, because obviously you're the one doing the role, and you guys can be involved in yeah, in the employment process and stuff like that. So long story short, we employed somebody and I started training her, did whatever and whatever. Then obviously I made the business case and said, obviously the person we've employed, she's doing well, she's managing by herself, and I'm ready to transition into a project manager now, and blah 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 blah. And he was like, yeah, that's fine. So he put in a call. We had a meeting, we spoke, and I just laid it out flat. Like, I was not beating around the bushes, guys. I just went straight to the point. I said, I've come in in the short space of time, I have restructured the business. I have done this, I have done that, da, 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 da. And he was like, yeah, I can see that. And it's great. You thanked me, then you obviously gave me some feedback as well, and he said, okay, your manager's away, we're gonna put in some things, some measures in place, and once she returns, the job is yours. And he was like, oh, then he gave me, there was this big project that was coming. Oh God, there was this big project that was coming up, and he was like, take lead on that project, and if you do well, the job is yours. And I was like, mine, because I already wanted that project anyway, and I've already made like a project plan and everything for that project, like before it even landed on our laps, because we knew that it was coming anyway. And I was like, that's perfect. Then on the flip side, guys, hey, so at the same time, so bear in mind, like, mom's had a stroke, this and that. I'm taking you through a journey. I know it's long, bear with me. And yeah, so that happened. We were like, yeah, cool, deal signed and done. This is like a week before I went on holiday. So then I go on holiday, and I'm like, yes, we went, obviously it was summer holidays. So we went on summer holidays, and I said, yeah, we went to Skegness with the kids for a week. So we were booked like the whole August. We were very like fully booked. And before that, actually, hey guys, there's just a lot. Before that, we had a project that I was working on, which was the Chris Brown concert. So we were supporting the Chris Brown concert, and yeah, that's a story for another day. But that's where so yeah, that's a story for another day, because that's going to be a long one, and I will definitely talk about that, because that's a key story and a key part of my life that brought me to Couch to Grace. So anyway, moving forward, so yeah, so we had a jam-packed August, like family wise. So I wasn't doing hair as well. So yeah, so when I went back into project management, I still rented a chair somewhere, because guys, I love doing hair. I ended up renting a chair somewhere else, and I was just doing weekends. So I'd be doing project management 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. Then Saturdays I was renting a chair, just doing like minor appointments, because I was like, I'm very stubborn, and I was like, yeah, I can do a little bit. I might not do a lot of braids. Maybe let me just do the weaves and the. So I was still doing that. But anyway, the August I took time off with everything. It was just family. And bear in mind, I didn't grieve any of whatever I just went through. It was just autopilot. So, and I think that summer holidays broke me mentally, and I just broke down. Like when we came back from our holiday, I remember the kids. I was with the kids every second, 24/7, and you can imagine, from my parents, my family being very involved, to not having that support system, to me being very busy, not physically at home as much with them, to then just having a whole month. And I don't want to make it seem like it's a bad thing, but it's just not something I was used to. So I was very overstimulated. I was overwhelmed, and it was just like, what is going on? And my kids have energy. My kids are, if you know, you know. Like, yeah. So it was a lot, and I think in that moment I was just so frustrated, so like, what is going on? Because again, although I loved project management, I was like, I think my body started grieving what I'd lost, like obviously the hair and my identity. I just felt like, what am I doing? I'm just trying to make ends meet. So it just went downhill, and I just went in a dark place. So came back, and I was just very depressed. I was having panic attacks. I started having heart palpitations and everything, and I even had to have a heart monitor fitted, because it was a lot. And I think it started before the holiday, actually, because I remember having to log off work and go to appointments and stuff, and I'll take my laptop. Such a workaholic. I'll take my laptop to the hospital, guys, and I'll join the meeting, and I'll just be like, I'm on mute, I can hear you, I'm in the hospital right now. I was that crazy. So yeah, so I was very dedicated, and although I wasn't like in the office, because it was a hybrid job anyway, so I was very much like, I even went to work with the heart monitor on stuck on, because I was like, work for me felt like an escape, if that makes sense. I was like, yeah, it's an escape. And it doesn't matter, not to sound bad, like I love my kids, but I was looking forward to going to the office because it was an escape to be away from mommy, 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 mommy. And yeah, so that was that. So anyway, so when I had that annual leave, I didn't have that escape. I was just 24/7, mommy, 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 mommy. And on top of it, I was trying to like figure out what was going on with me, what was happening. The migraines came back, everything just came back, and I was just very low. I couldn't describe what I was feeling. Moments, some days I couldn't even get out of bed. There was just a lot of stuff that was just happening. I said, okay, what's going on? And long story short, I know I'm just trying to summarize it because I know this video is so long. In that season, God was speaking, like he was always speaking. Remember, I just wasn't listening, and I was just like, not now. But in that moment, I just felt, and again, this is something I'll speak on separately. It started with a Chris Brown concert. I was told not to go. I was meant to go. I was told not to go, and that's where everything started. So from that moment, when I obeyed and I didn't go through with the concert, that's when everything changed. I started hearing God clearly, and I started dreaming a lot. I started hearing instructions, and that's where the turnaround and the turning point happened. So now you can imagine, then I was told by the doctors to basically be on bed rest. They gave me a sick note and stuff, and that was the. So yeah, at this point, a lot's happening to me and in my body and my emotions. Like I'm just like, what is going on? I'm getting very irritable. I'm shouting at the kids, like I'm snapping. I'm doing this, and I'm like, yeah, this is things are not great. I need to go to the GP. And because they were doing a lot of tests trying to figure out why I was having heart palpitations and why I was having panic attacks, and like I was legit having panic attacks, guys. And so yeah, they came down to, yeah, where we're gonna, yeah, so they diagnosed me with anxiety and depression, and they're like, yeah, you need to slow down. And yeah, so again, that whole stopping and just, I said, hey, my body's failing me again. What's going on? So I had to stop, and they were like, okay, we're gonna put you on medication. So it was intense, guys. Like it was, I would never want to go back to that space. I was put on medication straight away. And again, I was one person that didn't want medication. So I was like, no, but I wasn't sleeping. I needed it. So I was like, okay, fine. I'm for the first time, I'm just gonna accept that this is this is my reality. And if I need help, if I need help, like, and it's not a bad thing to get help. And they were like, oh, you need to start exploring therapy and stuff. And yeah, so they put me in a sick note. So long story short, they kept extending my sick note because my doctor was like, you're not ready, you're not ready, you're not fit to work, you're not ready, you're not ready. And again, because I'm stubborn and I'm like, I went into autopilot. I was like, okay, I'll take medication and then still work. I'll still do that. I can still do this. I'll still looking into my, and remember, I had that project that was coming up for my promotion. I was like, this can't get in the way. I was like, I have plans. I need to get better. Like I was treating it as if I like had a scar, and I'm just like putting oil to say, okay, I'm gonna put plaster on you because I've got things to do. Like that's how I was treating my mental health. And I was just like, I don't have time for this. I've got things to do. And I was like, I have a promotion to work for. And I just get I just started getting frustrated every single time I'd have that review with a doctor, and they're like, oh, you're not fit to work. And they kept extending, and then work is like trying to figure out what's happening, what's going on. And long story short, they, like months to go, they let me go. And that's another story. That's another story. They let me go, and again I went back into that autopilot, and I just broke down, guys, again. And it was just like, I just felt so lost. I was like, God, what is going on? You've taken my business away from me. You've taken this job from me. Like, why would you bless me with a job if you're going to take it away from me? You've taken every single thing away from me. What do you want from me? I legit went through that phase where I was so angry, and I was just asking God, like, why am I even here? Why am I even alive? What is going on? Like, what do you want from me? And yeah, he just started speaking. He was speaking and speaking and speaking. And in that moment, I then said, okay, I'm going to take this time to know you more and to get closer to you. So I took it upon myself to say, since I don't have a job and I'm at home, I might as well be productive with it and search and read the Bible properly and get closer to God. And bingo, that's what he wanted from the beginning. He was like, every single thing that you're doing, because I was so out of alignment, and there was that urgency in the spirit where God was saying, you are not where I need you to be. Yes, I gave you these skills. I gave you the business to get the skills and the gifts. I gave you the skills for project management, but what I'm taking you through and where I'm taking you to, you need these skills. That's why I let all this happen to you, because you need it for where you're going. And I didn't understand that until now. So everything that I was doing, I was soaking in, I was praying for hours, I was crying out. I was like, it was me and God. And I treated it like a 9 to 5 job where I'd wake up, take my medication, and whatever time I would wake up, I would be there, me and God. I'd pray, I'd read, I'd study the Bible, I'd do this, and this is where God started speaking and reminding me to start the podcast. This is where the podcast came from. And I was like, God, I need to be healed before I can start saying this, because how do I even do this? You know what's funny? The first episode I recorded was the same day I got let go of my job. I got fired. Guys, when I tell you, I was battling with God, and I was like, why would you want me to start a podcast now? Like, look at what's happening to me. And he was like, yes, go and speak. And it was so real that I was just like, hey, things are happening. And I'm here like, hi guys, welcome to Catch the Grace. Hi, God. No, honestly. Yeah, so the first episode I recorded, I was a mess. And even the many more that came through, I was a mess. And yeah, but anyway, to move on from that, God was speaking to me. He was like, okay, this is what I want to do. I started writing, and this is when I started writing my book. And it was a lot. Like, a lot was just happening. It was like, oh, I need you to do this, I need you to do this. And I was like, okay, this is what we're doing. So I slowly began to understand that my identity was never tied to my title. My identity was never tied to my business. My identity was never tied to me being a mother. My identity was never tied to me being a wife. My identity was never tied to me being a daughter or a sibling. My identity was always tied in Christ and knowing who I am in Him. And he began to show me who I am and my value and my worth, and every single piece and every single story, everything that has happened to me had a purpose and a meaning behind it. And like, God did not waste my pain. He did not waste my story. He did not waste my tears. He did not waste my joy. Every single thing that I had experienced led me up to this point. And I was just like, God, okay, this is a very hard way of trying to get my attention. But again, he was knocking. I was just busy building. And I thought that being busy would have felt that hole that I had in me. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I wasn't satisfied. I was doing things that I love, but I wasn't satisfied. So yeah, he just started speaking and speaking and speaking. And he was like, yeah, I need you to move. Like, go left. I went left. Go right. I went right. So yeah, that in that process, he was like, move to Northampton. And I was like, but the move, we're not moving anymore. But yeah, again, that's another story. So it was just a lot, guys. And in a long story short, we decided to explore that option of moving to Northampton for better support and family support and community, and just for me to recover and get better with mental health. And at the same time, God is doing a lot in Northampton that He wants me to be part of. And yeah, so we're here. And again, I say these stories not to put my life out there, because it's not that exciting. I say these stories to encourage, and again, God tells me to. That's one thing He told me: tell your story and keep talking and keep sharing your story, because you never know who's in that exact position. You don't know who needs that encouragement. Somebody could be stuck where you are right now, and they don't even know how to move forward. But by you speaking your story, it's hope for someone else that there's something better at the end. And although I'm still not working, but I'm working on what God wants me to do, and that's a job in itself. And He's providing. He's not stopped looking after us. And I lost my job in what, December, and we're in June. God has looked after us. We've been able to move, and the kids are well looked after. My husband is fine. We're all fine. Like, life still moves on, but God is very much like, I'm just enjoying this season where I'm listening to God and I'm in alignment and I'm doing what He wants me to do, and I feel fulfilled. I have this peace that I can't explain, and yet I'm not in control. And that's another thing I struggle to surrender, because once you surrender fully and totally, that's when you begin to see God's goodness and you begin to understand your calling. Because I surrendered in the past, but I still made plan B. And God says, if you are trusting in me, you need to let go every single thing and trust in me to provide, to comfort you, to be what you need me to be, basically. And yeah, so now I'm just resting in His presence, literally. I'm just enjoying His presence, and I am excited for the things that are to come. And trust me, there's a lot that I'm working on right now, and I cannot wait to share in due time. But yeah, I just wanted to encourage someone out there, just to say, be obedient. If God is knocking on your door right now and on your heart, and you know that there's something more, be obedient. Like, just to listen, pick up the call, listen to Him, surrender completely. Because one thing that I struggled was to surrender my control. Like, I'm such a control freak. I want everything done specifically, to a degree. I want this outcome. Like, I plan every single thing, to a point where I plan what my kids eat for the week. I plan their routine. I'm such a planner. So I want to know what's happening. If I go on holiday, I have an itinerary of what I'm wearing, what wig I'm wearing, what makeup, what lipstick I'm wearing, what I'm doing that day. I am that crazy. So it was so hard to let God plan my life. And I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing today. Am I gonna wake up? Am I gonna do this? I laugh now, because yeah, if I don't laugh, I'll cry. And yeah, I just wanted to encourage you that it gets better. Trust God, because He sees everything in bird's eye view. We see from block to block, but He sees everything from bird's eye view, and He knows what pieces He needs to remove and what pieces He needs to put together to make sure that your end is the way He planned it to be. So yeah, that's my encouragement for you guys this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. Remember who you are, remember whose you are, and remember that you are a daughter of the Most High King. And hey, you are so powerful. There's so much in you. Do not belittle yourself. There is so much God has created for you, and all you need to do is walk in it and align yourself and be obedient. See you in my next episode. If you liked this video, please share, like, and subscribe, and send it to a friend who might need it. And again, support your girl as usual. Thank you so much. I love you, and I'll see you in my next episode. Bye.